There you go. We live. What it do, world? It's your boy Nate Bennett, one of the co-hosts of the Extraordinary Exchange podcast. Man,
and it's me again. It's me again. Y'all got to deal with me again.
Who are you though?
That's Case, man. You know, just happy to be here.
Yes, sir, man. President and CEO of Extraordinary Investment Group. We are only 2 of 12. Shout out to our brothers with Extraordinary Investment Group in the background, keeping this thing pushing, keeping this thing moving. And we coming to you again. Got another prestigious guest, illustrious guest. This gentleman, hardworking entrepreneur. It's interesting doing some research on him. He's got a financial analyst background. He was a financial analyst for a telecommunications company, but he'll tell you his backstory. But he's the CEO of an amazing game that if you're not familiar with it, you're going to get familiar with it tonight. Got it right here.
True.
I'm a fan. That's actually how we met online, me playing the game. But a great card game called AuxGod. Our brother from up north, Canadian.
Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, Mr. Mike Rousseau. What up, Mike?
Thank you. Man, nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation, man. So I'm just here to like chop it up, and anything I can do to help community, I am about it, and I'll just be open book to the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we're here for, the Extraordinary Exchange, man. The exchange good vibes, good information. You know, you might inspire someone that's sitting at home watching this that's, oh man, I didn't know I can get into that industry. You can share some insight into the industry that you in, and you know, we trailblazers out here, man. So right, yeah, right. I'm definitely curious to hear more of your story. And yeah, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you all right. What part of Canada are you from?
Oh, I'm from Toronto. That's the only part that really matters, to be honest.
All right, okay. For real, that's tough. I feel you.
You're at Toronto, and then there's like Montreal. You can probably hit up. You can probably go to Vancouver, but those are like the
he ain't waste no time shooting shots, Sean.
Oh no, the over there they can get it, and the people who love the organic juices in Vancouver, they can come get it too.
It's spicy on the pod. Let's go.
Salute, man. So tell us about yourself, man. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Man. So, I mean, we can go far back, but I'll start it off with, just kind of what I have on the bio on the website. I was working at a company called Rogers. This is very similar to AT&T you guys have over there. Big telecommunications company. I was working there for about 7 years, and towards the end of it, I was kind of feeling like, I wanted to leave, like I wanted to do something else. And I remember, I think it was maybe earlier that year, I had went to Iceland and I had went to Thailand, and I came back and I was kind of sitting at my desk thinking like, man, this ain't it. I think there's so much I could have been doing, you know what I mean? So mind you, for the 7 years of me working there, I was also shooting weddings, portraits, fashion. I was like really going heavy in this photography business. And so I was kind of juggling both at the same time. And I was always kind of like, man, it'd be really cool to, do something where I can influence the world. I can do something on a global scale, because photography was dope, but it was kind of local for what I was doing. And every once in a while you kind of get these gigs where, they're fly where they're like, oh, we're going to go to Jamaica, we're going to go to Dominican, we're going to fly you out. And like, you kind of get perks that way. But I wanted something that I can maybe just try to like what a big business would look like. My family is very entrepreneurial growing up. My aunts were always, doing something on the side. So when I got laid off in 2014, I was like, man, I'm just gonna be a photographer. I'm just gonna start my own business and do that. So I was doing that for about a year, and a year after I got laid off. So it would have been 8 years of me doing photography. And I was just at a party one day, just, looking for inspiration for my next thing at the time. And I was at a party. It was on Canada Day, actually. So July 1st is Canada Day. So we're hanging out, partying, my boy's place. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, yo, let's have a sound clash. Now, Sound Clash is like an old school Jamaican term. We have a lot of Caribbeans up here, Jamaicans, Grenadians, Guyanese, like everybody, you know what I mean? So we're like, Sound Clash. I'm like, yo, dog, we can do that, but you're not going to win. There's no way. And we started going back and forth, playing music. And my friend who was the host of the party was like, yo, 90s R&B female and rap artist this, and like just throwing out all these categories loosely. There was nothing really, no structure to it. And we were just having a blast, man. I remember coming home that night and I was thinking, man, there's so many songs I could have played. Like I could have hit them with this, I could have hit them with that. Like how could I forget? And this is 2015. Like Apple Music, Spotify isn't even what it is today. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't get everything on Apple Music. You couldn't get Aaliyah, you couldn't get Jay-Z's albums, you couldn't get some things were just like you couldn't get it. So it was still a really like new time for the internet streaming service wise, right?
Yeah.
And the next morning I woke up July 2nd and I was trying to find a game similar to that online and I couldn't find it. I was researching. And then, that the next day, July 2nd, I was like, man, I'll just make it myself. And then by that November, we did a Kickstarter. By the next July, we were fulfilling all the orders from that Kickstarter. So it took a full year from the idea to like getting packaging, to getting, all the questions laid out, to putting it out to everyone that supported. So it took about a full year was the first game. But that's kind of like the rundown of how everything kind of went from inception idea. We can go deeper dive into if you guys want to.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But overall, like it started from the Sound Clash. Like it's like and it's crazy because everybody does that. You might be in a car on a road trip, and you're like, all right, let me get the song. I got this song. And then to the foresight, the vision to put that into a playable game. That's dope. That's dope.
I got to give a big shout out to like my family, man, like because they were always doing something in the entrepreneurial space. And it's just so weird when I think about it. Like growing up, they were always playing games. And the games look so lit when I was young and I want to play, but they were like, nah, like you're too young. Like you gotta, like go play Nintendo. But I was like, I just want to play with them, right?
You still at the kids' table.
Yeah. Just like, no, I can do it now. Like I can do it. Like, nah, you can't play with us. So like just watching them be in the entrepreneurial space, always playing games, and to the point now, even before AuxGod, I was doing the AuxGod thing. I didn't even realize that like we were taking on that. I guess that mantra of playing games with our cousins and stuff. So we kind of took on that next generation of, being the leaders in that space. And then when AuxGod came out, or the idea, I was kind of like, this is something I could probably just bring to the next game night with the family. So when I started testing it, I obviously hit up the family first. Remember, it was like October, or our Canadian Thanksgiving is October. So it was in October, and it was like me working on this game for 8, maybe 9 months at the time, writing questions and just testing it out. I pulled the first card and I'm like, oh, this is going to hit. It was a flop. They were like, what? Huh? And I was like, maybe I'm not clear. I was shocked because I thought it was like good to go, but that's one thing I can say about the power of like using your family, because they're going to be super honest with you, but also like you got to test your product and test your product. So I'll tell you what that card was. The first card this is not in the game at all. I will never be in the game. It was
beta version.
It was a category called DJ, and each team had to play like 3 songs from a particular artist, right? So if it was Michael Jackson, you would play 3 songs, and if it was Michael Jackson, the card was like, okay, you play 3 songs, right? And then after you pick your 3 songs, which already takes, I don't know what I was thinking, already takes so long to pick 3 songs.
Yeah.
You have to play a bit of each song, and then the other team gets to go and plays a bit of each song. And then it just took so long to do it. That card must have took like in the like 10 to 15 minutes. Like it just took so long. And then I was looking at like the judges, and I was like, yo, judge it. And they were like, I don't even remember what this
right.
Like, and I was like, okay, yeah. So I was like, scratch it, done. Like that card is, that whole category in my mind was gone. I threw that out the window. And then I think I replaced it with just eras, like 1990 to 2000. I replaced it with that. And I was able to sneak in some record labels in there, like Bad Boy, and Cash Money, and Rockefeller, and that sort of thing, just to fill up that space. Because I wanted the game to have about 100 and something cards. And when I took that category out, I was like, oh, I need to think of something that could fit that space. And it became like a good learning experience to realize that, hearing 3 songs from one team and hearing 3 from another is just too much. Mm-hmm. And another thing I learned from the editing, from the just the testing phase, is that it's best to go head to head, like 2 teams at a time, not 3. Because even when you play 3 songs from 3 individual teams, it's too much. So just head to head, just like every game that's ever been played from the history of games, it's always like 1 versus 1 or a team versus another team. There's no game ever that's ever televised as 3 teams at a time. Like it just doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
So just simplified it, and that made it so much more easier, and it's much more playable and more fun because you were just hearing music much faster,
Right.
Yeah.
All right, that's real. That's real. I know, like when we played at the crib, we didn't realize we was playing wrong. Like we didn't realize to the end of the game that we was playing wrong. We was just playing. You kind of start drinking a brunch, and you're like, man, forget the rules. Dog. We gonna play that joint. And so then when we go back and realize we ain't playing by the rules, we're like, dog, this joint would have been like it makes sense when you play it by the rules. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But we still had a blast though. Playing it wrong.
And that's the crazy thing.
Playing that joint.
Like, it's still one of the dopest concepts, one of the dopest games I played.
Thank you.
And you're talking about when you had to remove a category and then add a category, what goes into you choosing those categories for the cards? And is it just like I got to fill up the 100, or is it I'm very intentional about making this game for a certain kind of ear?
Yeah, you know what? I was so just being a creative from my whole life, I think I was just super anal about it. I was like, every card has to make you go, or make you laugh. Like if it doesn't make you think or make you laugh, then it can't be in the game. It cannot be there, right? So I was really adamant that every card had to do something and had to invoke like Black culture a little bit. It had to give little nods to the city, like Toronto, where I'm from. It had to do that as well. So it had to be strategic. And I know a lot of people probably don't use them, but the sabotage cards are so fun to play with because they just change the way how the game is played. And the wild cards that are in there also change the way how the game is played, right? And the wild cards, that idea actually came from me watching Wheel of Fortune. So when you watch Wheel of Fortune, sometimes it'll be like you land on that glittery $5,000 and you pick it up and it's like, oh, like it's a trip to Cancun or whatever, right? Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, like let's say you just grab a card, you don't know what the card is, but that card tells you, hey, this round, each person has to pick a team member to just play alone. I'm like, that would completely change the way how the game is usually played, right? And then so I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I thought I put that on my spreadsheet as an idea. And for the sabotage cards, that idea for those, giving the teams kind of like attacks or kind of perks to use, was kind of like my fascination with like Pokemon and Call of Duty. So I kind of like took what they were doing, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, if a team had a way to attack another team, like, how could they do it? And we kind of put these ideas where we can sabotage cards and give teams the ability to sabotage another team, was kind of like those attacks that you can do. So just like testing and thinking of how, what is the mechanics of a game to make it work? If you was just playing cards and playing music all the time, like, it would be like this. But once you add wild cards, it goes like this, and it comes back down to the normal level of play. And then when you have the sabotage cards, like, it will do this again, right? And it'll come back down. So you get these peaks and valleys if you like literally just play the game how like the rules state, because you start using strategy involved. It's not only music, you're performing. So there's all these kind of things that kind of make the game special and unique. It's the improv, it's trivia, it's a rap battle, it's just like all of these things. It's like, it's a lyric battle as well. So there's all these things that are kind of implanted in there, and then you add wild cards and sabotage cards to get those peaks and valleys, and it makes the game a lot more fun and more playable.
I vividly remember while we were playing, a few people thinking like, man, why didn't I think of this? Like, this is one of those products where it's like, man, this is genius. This is about to blow up. Everybody's going to be on it, but it's so simple. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not rocket science. You just put the best of a bunch of different worlds together in this box. Yeah, and it's dope. So let's dive into it real quick. You jumped into this space as a Black creative, the card game industry.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't, I doubt, from all, or maybe you did from your family members being entrepreneurial spirit. I doubt you had anyone you can go to like, hey, you've been in the gaming space before, unless Parker Brothers is part of your family or something, and I don't know about it. But so the process of like finding a distributor and finding someone to manufacture this for you. What was that process like, and how did you find your vendors to do that for someone who's striving to be in this space?
Yeah, so the first thing I did was I wrote all my cards out, and when I was doing the testing, and then when I thought I was finished, I hit up my graphic designer, and honestly, God bless her, she has been with me from when I was shooting photography. She is amazing. She is so good, and she's so talented. She's so clean in her. I mean, there's some people who are good at their job, but then she's also anal like me. She's like, this doesn't line up. It has to be straight. This got to be this way. She's like, when you're making packaging, these colors have to work. It's like doing home decor. You can't have these circles and have these angles. Like, you can't, like, she's like that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what you need when you're building a product. Right. So I hit her up first. So I told her I really wanted to be sharp and edgy. That's what you see in the box, like where it says AuxGod, like, it's very sharp and it's very edgy, because that's what I felt like the game really personified, was those sharp lines and stuff. And then our old logo was like a Greek goddess kind of thing on the front. And I was like, you know what? I've always loved that Greek mythology. I thought it'd be dope. And I was like, let's put the Greek gods in the front. So we had Apollo, and we had Euterpe, who were like the god and goddess of music and poetry and love. And I was like, oh, that's fire. Let's do that. She knew a guy who hand drew that, actually, which was really dope. And it's so crazy. He hand drew it on like a big, I think like 16 by 20. And somebody else bought it. Like, I only have the scan version of it. Someone else was like, this is dope, and they actually purchased it for their home. So I don't even know who has it, which is crazy. But so he was like, this will work. Like, I can do this for you guys. So that was on the cover. And so that's one thing. But then you have to get it manufactured, right?
Right.
So I did a bunch of Googling to see where I could probably get this made. I hit up a bunch of different companies, and this is kind of where my financial background kind of takes over, because I just broke out what I knew, and I just broke out Excel, and I was like, hey, this company, China, I need, 4 and 4 color. Boom. Do they offer that? Checkbox. Yes. You know what I mean? Very detailed with it. I want this thickness of the cards. I want the cards to be durable, so they have to have like a cotton threading on the inside, and they got to be glazed. So if you spill water on it, it's a drinking game that it's not going to mash up. You know what I mean? So like, there's all these things that I was putting on that I needed, and then it came down to just kind of like happy medium. Like, how much do you want to spend, which is going to be astronomical to get it like the best, and then what's the worst, and what's like the middle ground of what you can do, and that's kind of what it came down to. So I looked up a lot of companies that I found by Googling. There's a website called boardgamegeek.com. And I went over there and I saw that people were recommending some companies. So I just kind of, I would search those companies and saw that they all had like Alibaba or AliExpress links. So then when you're on Alibaba or AliExpress, you see there's other manufacturers as well. So I was just like, oh, this is fire. So I just like kind of had a spiel of what I needed, because I knew what I needed, the colors, the thickness of the cards, and how many I needed, and cardboard box and 2-piece box versus tuck box and all this kind of stuff. And I just was like copy and paste into all these companies. Like, what can you do for me? And then I was like, send me back some samples of what you guys can do. Got samples back. Not in my game, just samples of what they produce in the past for other games. And I just picked from there. And like, okay, I like this company. They seem pretty good. They were responsive, which is another thing you got to worry about. They were really, really responsive. So once we kind of I got the company, then it was like, here's your template, put your artwork on the template, and then send it back to us. And they'll give you back sample packages. The sample packages were about at the time $100 each for each game. And they were small. They weren't even that big that you have. They were tiny. They were like, I can't even, like, maybe like as big as like this. No, they were like this picture of me and my sister. The box was so tiny that when I opened the box, the cards didn't come out.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yo, how, like, if you were a company that makes cards, why would you send me a template of cards that are the same size as the box? Then like this, the cards didn't come out. I had to grab a knife, like a butter knife, and kind of poke it up the side. I'm like mashing up the box. The box is all ripping up. And I'm like, yo, this can't work.
This ain't it.
This can't work. So I was like, dude, we got to make the box bigger. And he's like, what size do you want? He's like, we can do anything for you. I'm like, make it this size. Can you put a tray on the inside? Like, sure, we can put a tray in there. And I'm like, cool. So we did all that. Another thing that was really important to me was the rules were like an envelope accordion style where you can open.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I kind of went OD on some things that, like, just presentation wise, I really wanted to, kind of have that wow factor as well. And I wanted to look good. I wanted to be like an artwork for people's homes, to be honest with you. I wanted you to be able to, like, especially the first version with the Greek god, I wanted you to be able to put it on like your shelf and be like, yo, this is kind of like a piece of art. It's a game, but it's a piece of art. But it's a lot of work. So I'll just reiterate, just make sure that you research all the companies you can. If you want to start a game, or if you want to do clothing, you're going to have to spend the money to get them to make samples, because samples are expensive. Samples they're not cheap. So reach out to a bunch of companies you can. Try to get samples from them of others so that they have done, so you know what to look forward to. And then if you like one, get them to make yours for you, and be prepared to spend some good money for a sample. They're not cheap.
That's real. That's real. So, like, I guess you have AuxGod, and there's all types of different card games out there. What makes AuxGod different from the competitors that may be out there?
I think a lot of the games, and this is where I think we get lucky because we love music so much, is that music changes so much by generation, by person, by taste as well. I think what sets AuxGod apart is that those 100 and plus cards you get in that game, you could play on one weekend, and then you can play it on another weekend, and the game is completed. You're playing 2 games. Whereas, if you play something like Cards Against Humanity, after a few times of you playing that game, you're like, I heard this joke already.
Yeah.
It doesn't slap the same, right? And the thing is, like, if you hear a comedian tell a joke twice, you're kind of like, heh. But you can hear the same song 50 million thousand times, and you're like, what's my favorite word? Like, you don't care.
Yeah. Right.
You're still gonna vibe out to it. So I think that's the lucky part that music has, and what AuxGod provides is that you can play it all the time, get different reactions from the same 100 something cards than you would if you played, a different game that's card based. Because like Trivial Pursuit, like if you have the answer, for example, you have like you already know what it is. So like the game becomes stale.
Mm-hmm.
So that's for us. I think that's a good thing. I'm not a greedy person, but I know a manufacturer like Hasbro would say that's a downfall of your game because we want people to keep buying, right? So like with AuxGod, you can hold on to that and be like, yo, I don't really need to get like maybe like AuxGod 2 or whatever, right? But that's something for me to figure out, like how to get people in the doors again, right? With different expansion packs or different ways of playing or changing the way how to play or eat. That's on me, and that's okay, right? But I'm not trying to price gouge people. I just want people to have fun. That's what I care for. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, as long as people are having fun, I'm cool with it. But I think that's the benefit of AuxGod over other games, is because you can play it tons of times and get a different game every time you play.
Yeah. I totally agree with that, because you can get a card and play, one song, and then have another card like, dang, I just played that song that I should have played on this card. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
like, that's a tough conundrum to be in, man.
Mm-hmm.
And you touched on the expansion packs, like, and that I was kind of getting to, like, making it the game is all already replayable. You know what I mean? Like it's not where, all right, this is stale and now I need an expansion pack.
Right.
But at the same time, having the expansion pack expands the game, right? So it's like you can throw those cards in differently. When it comes to those expansion packs, is it difficult to, I guess, to keep reinventing that idea?
That's a good question. So when it comes to, I don't want to say no, like I'm some kind of big shot. Like it does take time to think of new things and new angles for sure. But I think what I have on my side is I have time, because the hip hop one is out and people will keep playing it, and then new people are coming in to play it, and it's replayable. So I have time on my side. One strategic thing I did when we first started was I wanted to make sure we had a bunch of different genres out first before I even went and did an expansion. So we did hip hop and R&B first, and then I think we did pop right after, and then we did country, and then we did soca and dancehall. So we kind of have like a good cornerstone if anybody else wants to come into the market. It's a little too late because we've already sold so many and our name is getting out there, right? So that was like my first more concern than giving expansions. But now that we've kind of, we've slowed down with manufacturing new games, we can go back now and make expansions for them. And one thing that helps me create new cards or create new ideas is because I still listen to a lot of new music. So that helps the newer generation. And I have younger sisters who are like their early 20s who also help, like what's fire, I can tap on their shoulder, what I mean?
Right.
So that also helps. But also we do so many live events that when I'm pulling these cards, I'm thinking like, oh, I could kind of do this. So I have a little notepad on my phone where I just have like other ideas for like an expansion pack that I keep writing. And since I have time, it's like whenever these ideas come to me, I just write them down. So when I'm ready, it's like, okay, cool. We can go back to the manufacturer. We want to print out these extra 50 as an expansion, and we can do that. So it's kind of like yes and no to your question. I'm not too worried, but I also have a hip hop game that can be played multiple times. But I mean, people do ask all the time. People want gospel. People want people want Motown. People want this and people want that, and it just takes time. It takes money. It takes resources to do those things. And we will get to those things. I promise you. But right now, it's at the point where we're just kind of settling down because the country one came out in COVID, right? And this is like I feel the first year that people are really coming out of that COVID summer. Last summer was kind of towards the end. I think people was kind of picking up, but I feel like now everything's back, right? And what I want to do this year is like have the hip hop and R&B battles going, the live events. I want to have the pop live events going. When I have the soca dancehall one, I have the country ones going. So everyone's getting fed, and then while I can maybe get people to handle those individual events, I can sit back and say, okay, let's work on the next, expansions for these.
So I can't even imagine what one of them live events is like. Because if anybody is on the pod, and he'll talk about the social media, but just type in AuxGod either on Google or on Instagram. Just look at the search, and then just you can see documented people, like hundreds and hundreds of videos of people just going crazy at these parties, having a good time. And then you get the game, and I've played it, dozens of times, and it's an entire vibe. And that's actually how I came across the game originally. I think it was like I was telling you before, either a Facebook or an Instagram ad.
Yeah.
Came by. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. And then it showed up on my feed a few more times. I was like, all right, I'm not going to let this pass me again because these people are having too much fun with this game. Got it. And the rest is history. So talk a little bit about that, like the marketing strategy and how,
okay,
either using those videos and posting them on social media, how it helped you, or what's been the differentiator with you, with your marketing and how you've got it out there.
I'll be honest. Again, this is an open forum. So
yeah,
first ad we made, I begged my boy to use his condo. His condo was like a fairly new condo, and he had like a lounge, but his lounge was like on the 30-something floor, the top of the building, and it had windows all around it, and it was like windows everywhere. It was really nice, and he didn't live there anymore, but he was renting out the unit that he had purchased. And I was like, dude, can I use that condo? Can I use that lounge? And he's like, I don't know, man. We probably have to sneak in. I'm like, we're gonna have to do it. Like, you know what I mean? And I was under so much pressure because I was down to like my last couple $100. Like I was broke. Like I had no money. Talking about no money, it was like when I made that ad and then we were testing it to get the right audience, it was like my PayPal was set up to my credit card and my bank account or something like that. And my PayPal had no money in it. And then it went to my bank account that had no money in it. And then it had to go to my credit card that was just like, didn't really have money in it because it's a credit card. So it was just doing like this tour of like bouncing around trying to get the money, right? And I think in November, I can't remember what year it was, maybe 2018 or something like that. It just started to like work, and the ads were working, and it was like clicking, the dots were clicking, and I was at home learning how to edit the commercial that I made at home and just like making edits here, adding subtitles. Maybe people want to see this scene more, and just doing stuff like that. And man, like when I tell you like mans were broke, I was like, I was scared, bro. I was really scared. But then when I started to work, it kind of, I was just like so happy and just so elated because like I had put so much time into it. At this point, it's probably like 3 years at this point. And I really just wanted it to be successful. Before that, we were hitting up like those Black entrepreneurship, like pro Black accounts on Instagram. And I was paying them like $60 or $90 for like a post and that sort of thing. But that doesn't last long, right? Because you pay a post, you get them like $90 for 3 posts, which is great. You're paying like $33 a post. This is like nothing, right? And like $30 a post, and they will keep it up for 24 hours on their feed, and then they take it down. Right. So I remember the first day I did that. I was in New York, and my phone blew up. I remember just looking at it, and then it was just like the notifications was like it was like purchase. I was so shocked. I think off of a $30 post, I had 60 individual orders.
Okay.
And I think the game was like $20 at the time. So I made like $1,200 in like 24 hours. And that was like, whoa, wow, I was so shocked. And then I think I was kind of just relied on that just to get me by every month. I was like, I'll just do another post with people with the accounts, do another post. And then I just kind of wanted more out of the post. And I was like, these could dry up. Like, who knows? Like, Instagram could change the algorithm. You know what I mean? They can delete my account. Like, what am I going to do? So I was like, what can I try? And I was like, let me try these Facebook ads. And all the money I kind of made from those posts, I was buying more product all the time. So I was like, I would have money and I'd buy products so I wouldn't have any money. Product was coming, so I had to redo this whole thing again. It's literally like selling drugs, bro. When people talk about like Korea, when people talk about Korea, I get it. I get Korea. It's like you put the investment away. You come back. You buy more. You come back. So it was kind of just like that. And it was like not sustainable, right? So I was like, I got to grow this business. I got to figure out how to grow the business. But then I also need money right now. And I can't rely on anybody else to make money for me. I got to do it on my own. So yeah, that Facebook ads was like kind of eating up money during the testing. But when I got to work, I was like, thank God, thank God. And it really helped me hone my skills in marketing and how to edit, the psychology of why people purchase things. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that just go into a commercial that I make versus just like putting out a commercial. There's a lot of psychology that I tried to implement to get people, to purchase. But that took a lot of time.
3 years. I want everybody to realize that, like, this wasn't something you just put together and then started getting orders and then stuff was sweet. Like, it was a maturation process to this, to where faith played a big role in that, I'm sure. Having your vision, knowing exactly why you were doing this, knowing the inception of it, and you wanting to change the world through having a good time and everyone feeling like they're the next biggest DJ. So yeah, that's an awesome testimony.
And I would love to mention just being super humble. Like, at the time when, I was making AuxGod, I was living in the basement of my grandmother's house. You know what I'm saying? So I was living in the basement of her house and just trying to make this work. When I got laid off, I was there for a long time, right? I was there for 7 years. So I got a pretty good severance. I had stock options and stuff like that. So it was, do I take this money, maybe invest in some property? Do I get a condo and just kind of like start my life? Or do I try to do this thing, right? So it was really a gamble, bro. It really was a gamble. And I don't want to, like, you hear these stories so much, you think like, it works out for everybody, but I don't know. There was times where I was like, why am I even doing this? Like, this is a dumb idea. Like, I should not do this. I should really just ride off in the sunset, get married, and just chill. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, yeah, it's tough. It's not all rainbows and sunshine.
It's the road less traveled for a reason. That reason right there. A lot of people don't have the resilience to go through that. And, they hit, like you talked about, your friends and family and testing stuff with them. Somebody will put a little bit of money into it, a little hobby they got or a good idea. They'll test it with their family. They shoot it down and this ain't going to work. and then just throw their hands up and give up. But nah, you saw your way through, so we got to salute you for that, man.
Yeah, and there's
you would have gave up, we wouldn't have never had this.
Right? Had this. There's so many things that just happened. Like I was telling one of my homegirls, she went to school for fashion. She's in Italy. She's Italian, so right now she's making her own line of clothing and bags and stuff. We were just having a conversation. I was telling her, hey man, every time something bad happened to me and made me want to quit, I always said it was the devil. I always said it's the devil and it will pass. And I was like, the devil comes in all these mysterious ways. It could be money, it could be people, it could just be like the people you were working with to get things done. They don't have it done on time. Like it's always something that's going to happen. And I was just telling her, I was like, yo, one time, like over Christmas, I had done another order for Christmas. I can't remember what year it was. And my manufacturer, that was all good up until this point. I ordered things by air. So usually when you order from China, you have an option. You either by air or by boat, right? And it was so close to Christmas, I was like, okay, just send me my games by air. And air is super expensive, right?
But it's supposed to be quicker though, right?
But it's quicker. You get like within 7, like they have a lead time where they make your games maybe like 30 days. And then once it's done, they ship it to you within 7 to 10 days. By boat, it takes like 60 to 90 days, right? But it's obviously much cheaper. I was like, send me the stuff by boat because I need it for Christmas. So it's December. I'm like, dude, where's the stuff? He's like, it should be coming. It's mid-December. Dude, where's the stuff? Now people are cussing me like, yo, I ordered stuff. It's on back order. Where's my stuff? I'm like, I don't know.
Right. What I'm supposed to.
Right. I don't know. So I don't get this stuff until like February. And I'm like, dog, like what happened? This was supposed to be by air. It came by boat. And he was like, that's not what I paid. Like, that's not what we agreed on. Like, he was telling me, he's like, that's not what we agreed on. I'm like, I know, I'm telling you, I know that. Like,
right. So why it's on the boat?
Yeah, right.
I started researching. So I get the way bill from a company. Luckily, like when the people dropped it off, I was like, where'd you get this from? And I'm like, give me he's like, oh, sign here. I'm like, no, I need documents from myself as well. Like, I need to research this. So I started researching. It was weird. It was like a company that was like not too far from my house. Did the last delivery to my house, the last mile. And I was like, yo, who is this person? They were like, we don't know. And I was like, what? Like, how did you get this stuff? And they're like, oh, we don't get things from China. And I'm like, but you delivered it to me. Like, I was so confused. And then I went to my guy in China. I was like, something's not right. Like, this doesn't make any sense. I found the waybill where the vessel it was on. My stuff was packed with bicycles and TVs. I'm like, this is weird. Like, it's never been like this before. What's going on? He went to the company that he hired, opened the office, everyone gone.
Oh, wow.
He's like, Mike, I don't know what happened. He's like, they are disappeared. The place is empty. So I had to fight with them now. I was like, dude, I paid for air. You got to give me a discount on my next order. You know what I mean? You owe me I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I was like, you owe me money. You know what I mean? You got to put that towards the order. And then even that was a hassle because the owners of the company didn't want to accept fault.
Yeah.
They didn't want to accept fault. And there's one lady in the company who's a manager, and I don't know if she was going to lose her job or not. She was like, I will give you $1,200 out of my pocket.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, but you don't have to do that. It's not your responsibility. She's like, I feel bad. She's like, but these guys don't care. They're not going to give you the money back. So after all the fighting, I think I fought for like 9 months. I was like, okay, just if you can give me 15, then we'll just have to call it what it is and go from there. But I've been with them. I stayed with them because like they were like the best for the price. You know what I mean? We talked about earlier. It just kind of worked out like they were still the best. And I've never had an issue after that. At one point, I ordered 50,000 units. Never had an issue. It came when it came. sometimes that can happen in business. Like we all got duped that day.
Dang.
Crazy.
And it's like you can't do nothing because you over here and production over there. And it's like,
oh man, when I tell you how mad I was,
I can only imagine, bro.
One day I called him on the phone and I was like, King, I don't care how you get me my stuff. By boat, by plane, by bird back, I want my stuff. I was so mad.
My bad was Franklin St. Auto.
I found out his his phone number. I was calling his house. And I was calling his like phone number. And I was like, King, I will come to China. I'm not joking. Like I was so mad. I will get a visa and I will come to China.
I'm about to pull up on you for that.
I was like, I will pull up. Like I was so serious. And I was like, yo, man, it's like, don't let the nice smile like fool you. Like I will dribble you, bro. Like I will. But
that's real, man.
Luckily it didn't have to come to that. Me and him are cool. He messaged me last week, just asked me like how everything's going. But there was some times where like things weren't the greatest, and like you don't have money at that time. I didn't have the product. Everyone that like kind of supported the Kickstarter from like the few years before that, like family and friends, I was like, yo, can I get the games back? I need to send them to people who've ordered. So I was just like, how do I make these people happy? And I was just like taking back games from my friends and family, repackaging them, and because some of them are open, and send them off to people who purchased. So I wouldn't get bad reviews. You know what I mean? So it was rocky. It was rocky.
Those are the sacrifices that you got to make, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So with that, with that mishap, right? With the shipping mishap, when it comes to your intellectual property, like how is that protected in situations that may seem shaky?
That's a great question. So everything that you write is automatically copyrighted, right? When you produce something like this, there is everyone I see in the comments all the time, people are like, oh, we thought of this, like we should have got it patented. There's no patent for games. I think after 1960 something or 70 something, they stopped issuing patents for games where there is text on paper. So you can have a patent for something like a game like Operation.
Okay, right.
Because there's
no cards,
or that's electricity, and you touch it buzzes. Like, I mean, that's like an invention.
Right.
I don't even think if Monopoly came out today, you couldn't even get a patent for Monopoly because there's not an invention of it. It's just like you're going around a board and you're taking paper, you're reading off paper cards, right? So patents now are limited to things that are like literally inventions. Like if you have like a vacuum that sucks in air, but also maybe air freshens the air, you can patent that. So when it comes to things of like patent and keeping your intellectual property, anything you write, copy is yours. Like you wrote it, that is yours. But you have to get your logos trademarked. You have to do that because someone can like steal your logo, for example. And when you trademark your logo, you want to trademark it for everything you plan on doing with that logo. So you trademark it for like maybe the board game, or for clothing, or for TV use or entertainment. You want to patent it for all the things you plan. And the more things you add to what you may use it for, you actually have to pay for those extra things. And then once you do that work, it's almost like a public licensing, where you'll get hit up because you have to use your email and everything. You'll get hit up by companies in China or India offering to like help clean up your patent, or you missed something and they can add it for you before it gets finalized and stuff like that. And I actually took up a company on that offer because the USPTO website is actually really difficult, and I think it's overly complicated on purpose.
It is.
Right?
It really is.
Yeah, it's overly complicated on purpose, and I think having someone like a lawyer or someone that lives in India that knows American law, which surprised me that there were so many of them that actually knew what they were talking about. I was like, I'll just pay you the $100 and you just do it for me, because it was something I didn't want to get for, and it came back.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when we originally submitted the AuxGod logo, I was trying to be slick, and I was trying to trademark music battle card game as well. And they were like, whoa. Like, those words are too general, like you can't. And I was like, wow, they really like go deep into this stuff, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah. Man, something you gotta try, yo. You just gotta try to finesse things sometimes. But yeah, you do. And but that's one thing I would say is, like, if you don't have money to get a lawyer in the States, see if you can go on Fiverr and see somebody if they will trademark it for you. And Fiverr has a bunch of people who know that stuff at the back of their hand, and they'll do it for a small fee, and it's worth it for your peace of mind, because while they're doing that, you can work on the real things like your business and finances and goals and creatives and all that sort of stuff, and let the experts handle, the USPTO trademark filing and your copyright and all that stuff. That's what I would suggest. If I can do it again, that's what I would do.
It's good insight right there. It's good insight. Y'all take notes. Hopefully y'all taking notes, so y'all playing this back, because that's good stuff. So you've been super transparent with your time, with your stories, with your downfalls, which is very uncommon. Like you said, a lot of people look at just entrepreneurship in general, and we see how it's promoted on social media like it's this, everything is rainbows and unicorns, and it's amazing. But you were very transparent with some of your downs. Talk about some of the successes you've had, because you've been featured in some major publications.
True.
I know Vibe magazine, you were featured there. Complex.
Mm-hmm.
You had some situations with Nike and Kate Spade and Peloton. Talk about some of those successes and how that made you feel, going forward. And how did those come together, if you could share that?
Yeah, you know what, man? Like, when those things come together, it's always so surprising, because sometimes they would email you, or they're fans of the game, or they heard about it, and it just kind of makes me realize that, especially in, for the hip hop and R&B community, for us, it's something that people really respect, because a lot of the times I'm getting into these spaces is through a Black person who's played the game is vouching for me in their offices, and that's always so important, is to have representation in those offices, to get those, so they can help push things that they like forward. So that's kind of how that's always happened. So for Nike, it was an agency that contacted me and said, we have an opportunity. Nike's putting together a Black entrepreneurship list, and I was just one of 4 people they put on, and they had made a website only for us. And it was a lot of internal pushes, I think, on the Nike side. I think they were sending emails out to internally in Nike. It was like, these are the 4 that we want. We're focusing on this year. And so we got a lot of sales from that, which is really good internally, which was great. For Kate Spade, it was another customer who works at Kate Spade, and she's like, we want to have an E.I.G on Zoom battle. So I think I was entertaining like 60 or 70 people. And we just had a battle going, and we had set up really nice. We had like a DJ behind me, and I had like a hype girl with me, with my friends, and I was on the microphone, and we were like joking around, pulling cards, and they were battling. And this is done all on Zoom, which was really, really dope over COVID. And just being in Complex and Vibe, like, that was just such a dope, thing to happen, because like I used to read those magazines when I was younger. I never thought that with someone who can't rhyme, I'd be in the magazine. You know what I mean? So,
right.
So it's dope to kind of see that stuff kind of happen, even if you're mentioned with like, top 10 holiday gifts. It's crazy that those things have happened. We had an opportunity maybe last month to do a battle at Universal Records over here in Toronto, their Toronto division. But it was a snowstorm that day, so we couldn't do it. But it's going to be, rescheduled for another date. What else? But there's all these opportunities happen. Like we had the Canadian Grammys last year reach out, and they wanted X amount games to put in the bags for all of the nominees. So like things like that have just come up, and I'm just always so grateful, and I'm always just so shocked, that like this at the time, like this guy who's living in his grandmother's basement is getting opportunities from Complex and Vibe and Kate Spade. It's like, I probably have something here. You know what I mean?
That's major that they will vouch for you. Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say that's major for all of y'all people within these companies that look like us to make sure you're reaching back and you're putting on for people that are being genuine and have something amazing like a AuxGod, that the culture could benefit from and put on. I mean, that's what we do at E.I.G, Extraordinary Investment Group. Like, we're just starting on this podcast journey, but it's been super easy because the last 3 years we've been sharing some of these dope businesses with the world, and sharing people's entrepreneurial journeys. Now we're just documenting it, but we've been fans of this game for years now. This wasn't something where, hey, we need some guests for a podcast. Like, I just reached out to Mike last week. It was like, oh yeah, let's go, let's do it. Whenever you're ready, I'm trying to get on, and because we're like legit fans of this stuff. So yeah, we definitely want to put on, just like the folks over at Kate Spade and Nike and all these other companies. So it's definitely important to keep putting people on, man. There's enough for us to all eat out here.
And one thing I'll say, if we're just to say in general, is that anybody who's watching this, if they have any questions, my DMs are always open. I always respond. There's been a few people over the years who have reached out to me, and I've had phone calls with them. So I'm always open to have these conversations and help out. I think we can all make it. I think we can all do it together. So, if we all eat together, we can do that. You know what I mean?
There's always enough. There's enough for everybody to eat. That's my statement, man. Like, absolutely. You don't got to hold your cards to the vest. This world big enough for everybody to eat, man. And we offer that, man. Tell the people where they can reach you at on the socials, whether it be, whether you said, reach out to you in the DMs. Tell them where they can reach you at, where they can find out more about the game.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, get the game at auxgodgame.com. That's AUXGOD game.com. Our business Instagram is at AuxGodGame, and my personal is at Mike Bamboo. And you can find me on everything at AuxGod Game, Twitter and TikTok, Instagram. But my personal is Mike Bamboo. But yeah, make sure you guys get a game. Take a look at the website at least. If you have any questions, hit me up, and I'm more than welcome to help you guys push your little rock forward.
Man, that's super dope, man. And I'm a fellow analyst myself. I'm a business analyst, business systems analyst. So when you talk about that testing, I'm like, man, that's what it's about. If you don't test, it
really is. Yeah,
hey, right, man.
You got to make sure it's right and tight, man, because you can't bring it out to people and they're like, man, this is garbage. Right. Especially us, like we're you know what, as Black people, we are so quick to bring people up, but we'll also put you down if
if you're not on point. We're gonna be like, nah, don't mess with Cuz over there, man. He ain't right.
Exactly.
Hey, man, we got one of the wives of the fellas in our investment group that will not mess with a company for the most pettiest reason. I'm not even gonna put her out there right now, but like it's an amazing company that we all love. But she was like, I can't mess with them no, because they did this to me. I was like, So yeah, man.
I
feel like we need to do something for our listeners on the podcast. So, Case, you don't even know about this. I didn't even mention it, but I was just conceptually thinking, like, we do like a contest where we're giving away like a free game or something. So
Yeah, we can do that for
done
sure.
with that, like we'll go ahead and cop 3 games, and then we'll like raffle them off. So if you're listening to this, let's say code word AuxGod. We'll ask you to DM code word AuxGod once we release the podcast. You'll have to listen to it, DM that to us, and then we'll raffle all 3 games because more people need to get this game, man. It's trying.
That's fire.
Worldwide. We're gonna be we can say we were there from the beginning before everybody in the world got these joints in their living rooms. So yeah, we fans of yours, man. We appreciate you sharing your story with us.
No, thanks for having me, man. It's always good to chop it up with you, Nate. And Kay, nice to meet you, bro. I appreciate you.
Nice to meet you, bro. Hey, real quick, them live events, man. Y'all in bars, y'all in.
I'm saying, like, yeah, y'all need to come down.
Y'all go on the road. Y'all trying to bring it. Y'all come rock with us. What's up, man?
I know, man. It's honestly, it's one of those things. Like, it's on the docket. Like, tour, you know, and close it out heavy. So it's something that I really want to do. That's something that I think would help push the brand forward and just get people out and about just playing. But yeah, it's something. It's something right there, man. It's like, so
look,
close.
Man, stateside, you know, they got little events, the R&B events, the karaoke events, all those things, man. Like card game events. Like I might go find me if you don't mind, I might go find me a little DJ at the spot with the cards and say, hey, AuxGod, folks, I'm trying brand for you, Mike.
Yeah, you know what, man? People have done it. Like people are like, can we just do like a little thing? I'm like, man, I just made the cards. I just want you to have fun. Like people have been like, we do our game night, we play AuxGod, or like we're having like a solo AuxGod night. I'm like, repost. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like that. It's all about community. It's about us. You know what I mean? So we can just help you out. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Here in the DC area, we actually connected to these folks that run this dope R&B party every month. And if behind the scenes we're gonna get y'all on like a 3-way call.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's do that.
Y'all could get that, like collaborate in some way. Yeah, maybe you can, maybe you can't. But if it makes sense, like to me in my mind, it makes sense for everybody to get together and throw that, because that's
that'd be sick.
It's gonna be a vibe. Anyway, but we'll talk about that, man. Any housekeeping items you wanna what shirt you got on today? Because E.I.G got more and more merch.
Well, this is the Goat Dad shirt. This is a product from one of our vendors at the Juneteenth last year. You know, the Goat Dad, man. So you know, every time I come on here, I'm gonna try to
same here. We got the fresh rose on Black business.
Man, if you free, come to the Juneteenth, sell some AuxGod games, man. It's a time. It's a time.
Yeah, it sounds fire.
Indeed, man. Hey, Mike, we appreciate your time, man. We appreciate all the insight and information that you gave us, that you gave to the people, man. And again, AuxGod Game on the Instagrams, AuxGod Game on the www. Cop the game, man. It's a great time. It's a very, very enjoyable time, man.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yes, sir.
Indeed, man. Y'all be good.
Be well.
All right, gentlemen. Talk to y'all next time on the next episode of the Extraordinary Exchange podcast, man. Y'all be good. Peace.